Many of you are aware, each of the engineering campuses have this facility. How many of you are actually not aware of STEP in each of the campuses? Not aware. Okay, good to know. All 100% faculties know that. First STEP started in India in '85. So is out of the first three steps, the Mysore Science and Technology Entrepreneurs Park is one of that. It's exactly 40 years since the incorporation of this center in this campus. And you have seen the Mysore ecosystem, how the step has facilitated small, medium, large, and ultra large the businesses specifically in electronics. The reason I'll answer it as electronics is one of the prime strength or maybe the backbone of this campus. Many people have been made use of every resources, it might be faculty, the students, or maybe facilities at your laboratories, or the facilities made available during those training steps, which is material related, calibration related testing facilities, and also quality management related kind of facilities as well. So why we are talking today in the context of and what is important in the aspect of semiconductor industry itself. And indeed, when this particular topic came in 2021, we had a couple of companies coming from Mysore, so Bangalore, and started design centers in stuff in 21-22. That is Proxilor, I think, just a session before the Prashant was talking about that. So when they started, there were only 10 people started here. When they moved out after 2 years, there were 100 plus people. I need to say that they have seen the opportunities coming through because of advancement in the domain, teaching, doing a research, doing publications, a lot of things that you are where you have access to it kind of stuff. So that triggers what we can do with this in the campus. Along with the Proxilera, we had a first two VLXI Next conferences, open conferences have been delivered in Mysore, which has never been seen even in Bangalore as well. So 2 consecutive years we delivered the VLXI Next conferences to just address the opportunities and the talent requirement which is needed for those kind of industries. Now it is a multi-fold requirement. That is the one company we started, and then all of a sudden we see surge of the companies coming to the Mysore just because of good reasons. The talent is available, but somewhere a huge gap still exists. So what is that gap? So what I am talking today, why the particularly our department here, I'm also interested and keep on pushing every faculty now and then talking to them like, hey, what we can do together? Why the students have not been coming in and making use of the stuff facility, or maybe schemes coming through that why they're not applying kind of stuff. So fundamentally, we have been driven them to look at the job. It's not your problem, it's not our problem, it's a universal problem today. How do we transcend or maybe transfer them from what they think and what they do into the next level of engagement, which anyway they go and do it in industry. They're expected to do the same thing in industry. But why the mindset is not being built within the campuses, they can try it out, fail, that is fantastic to look at it, try a number of times, take the support of all the facilities made available within the campus and with the industries within the ecosystem itself. And the ecosystem I'm talking about, any industries in the Mysore, we have been connected in whatever the capacity is required to be looked at. So STEP is just not a functional facilitator kind of a STEM. It is been taking a lead in terms of connecting the requirement of the industry coming through in various means, and as well as startup developing some innovative products and taking it to the market. So a huge gap between these two requirements. The startup with maybe the students or maybe professionals coming and starting, or maybe industry putting a challenge back to us in a startup solve this kind of a problem. And what is the reason? What is the reason as well? I'll give a market perspective side why the semiconductor industry is even important for us and what we are trying to build in a campus in coming years, which is already there, and we are developing that. This campus is going to see a new facilities, which is for the innovation and incubation activity centered around electronics. It means that everything we're talking about is centered around electronics. It means that if you're developing any product in medical science or maybe medical devices or maybe agriculture or maybe in food or maybe other aerospace, automotive, oil and gas, everything is central in electronics product. Why that is so? I've been in the startup ecosystem nearly 10 years now, closely working with state government and central government and with the industries. We know what these kind of a policies and schemes drives, how many years they will take even to frame the policies as well, and why do they do that as, and what is the advantages they are looking at from incubators and academia as well. We time and again we are this gap of existing between academia and industry. It is never going to vaporize. I mean Spanish. If not today, even next 100 years, is not going to fill that kind of gap. That is going to bound to exist kind of a thing. But can we relax now? No. The reason is from the India perspective and from institution perspective as well. Why? Some of the new colleges coming in, taking a lead, absolute lead in certain areas, which you are able to think now. In the same domain, they've just started a few years back. Now they're taking a lead in certain areas. Means we work in AI in specific domain. So what we wanted or maybe looking at from academic perspective and taking the benefit of this stuff is like, can we be again bounce back to that 80s of the strength which this campus as advantages. It means that people, industries used to come here, interact with the faculties, interact with the students to solve the problems and develop the product itself. So we need that to happen at a pace actually. So what we do and how we do kind of a stuff. Now semiconductor, as I understand from interacting over 5 years, because I'm a mechanical engineer background and aerospace engineering in profession. By and large, we understand 80% of the things what we do is connected to electronics in any product. Everything related to that. So major components comes is mechanical, but in entire integration and connection and control needs to happen through electronics itself. Now we are talking about artificial intelligence today. I've been exposed to now AI in kind of automation, collecting the engine data live from the space on the aircraft onto the ground and monitoring 24/7. So all of a sudden, what has been changed over a period of 20 years? It means that there are innovations industry does which impacts the progress of the industry. So $1 billion has been spent for their industries, especially if you name a few industries actually lead the innovation. Aerospace is one of the leading innovators across the domains, and oil and gas again, because their investments are going to be in $1 billion. That's the reason, like any innovations led, once that is done, then the cascade into the next level of industry. Now, the space and aerospace related innovations cascaded into auto sector and cascaded into industry sector. You all see that, right? So this cascade is basically its availability of these solutions or maybe technologies, which is at much lower cost today, can be deployed in these industries as well. So that's the evolution happens once in 10 years, once in 15 years. This transformation of technology transfer from whichever the domain which leads that and cascades into the other industries. So where we need to play, what we need to play is a kind of a question. As a semiconductor, as I understand, the three streams, E and C, E and I, E and E. Instrumentation, communication, and electricals kind of a stuff. Electronics is a common fundamental subject. Everybody looks into that. I always wonder, I always looked at teachers and the faculties as a researchers, fundamental researchers. Taking now pure science and working on a fundamental research kind of a thing. That's what we teach in a classroom. Maybe once they move to the next level, next level of a engagement. One thing probably we need to now slightly change is move into the applied engineering. This is where we are interested in. The reason is we want to see the application which is needed, which is requirement of the market, the requirement of the industry, a requirement of particular problem statement that is applied in nature. Whether you want to use basic science for that or maybe technology, you name it, whatever it is irrelevant for us. It's basically are you able to develop those kind of stuff which is connected to the applied side of the engineering, which is called whether it is electronics, mechanical, civil, or core engineering is now need to move from this area to applied side of it. The reason is also very simple. We're talking about skilling again, right? After engineering, still we need to do the skilling. then we have a fundamental problems again. Again, either they need to go to the masters, the specialization, or skilling them. Skilling in what? If you look at all the training materials coming onto your table, is somebody coming and tell you are training your students, look at what they are talking. Same subjects you are taught your students, now they're using it to apply it on certain application, or maybe developing something, or solving a problem. So it's a conventional, or maybe challenges which we see in the as a gap. So why this is so, and is the only way we can address this participation of the faculties and students. Otherwise, we will have a tough problem tomorrow to see that how many entrepreneurs in each of the department needs to be developed. It may be one of the ranking and rating which any of the ICD puts in, then we'll get in. We count in between these kind of stuff. Why we need to wait for that? Let's take a leap of faith jump, because you are already there. You have spent many decades. Some of you already spent many decades in this particular segment. Now it is a little bit of a transformation which is required, where you can actually reap the benefits. It's about that which we are talking about. That's where the steps comes into the picture. It's not that we got everything as a facility. I'm the first person to not to bring any machine into the campus, because if you don't know what to use it, why use it, I'm not going to bring any machine. Can we deliberate? Can we design? Can we update everything from intellectual point of view, using software which is available, using opportunities there in our near ecosystem? Everything we need to explore. That's why it is slightly different when you are trying to build those kind of things. Entrepreneurship is not about building something by having everything around you. Absolutely, there is a shortage of things, of resources, shortage of your capital, shortage of maybe people as well. And I know that when you ask a question, sir, students are different options. We have a shortage of everything is coming from the same language. It is no difference. So entrepreneurs also have the same limitations. If everybody could have been done that, so every student could have been aspired to be building a business today. That is not going to happen. What we are talking about, our first target, maybe you can think about like 1% of the students, maybe as a campus, if you have few thousand people, 1% is roughly translating to 100 people. Say 50 people or maybe 50 individuals in a group can take a lead of that. And one startup for a department, one startup for a department per year. We have a fantastic way of looking into that. And why we need to do that as well is very interesting facts, because this particular semiconductor domain itself, I am also an element to support a lot of industries to move the industry to Mysore. Wherever you go to the conference, I sell Mysore for whatever the reason. The reason is we don't require thousands of people in this sector today. What we needed is a company with 50 to 200 people, which is a strong research, strong innovation, and strong product engineering capabilities. They rule the world tomorrow. We don't require like the huge numbers which IT companies like Infosys or maybe IBM recruit. We don't require it, and it is not possible as well. So what we needed is these 50 to 200 people, which makes these companies a global one. Potentially, yes, these companies become a global one because that's the hierarchical thing in the semiconductor industry. Past 2 days, we heard so many sessions. What is the semiconductor industry, right? I'll put in my own way what I understood and where these kind of things are there. Why the gaps are also existing. Until recently, maybe last 4 or 5 years, we never spoke about VLSI in a campus. You all agree? Hardly any topic. So VLSI was a recent trend in last 5-6 years. I can say that maybe 7-8 years we can look at it. But it started there. Then fundamentally is all electronics. Then power electronics we are talking about. Then embedded systems is spoken about. Then where is the semiconductor section? Why we are industries are gungo about this kind of stuff? It was dominated by few industries or maybe few people in the world at the top. If I took the vertical understanding of the from the fab at the top, and then designing and starting at the end of the base, there are 7 layers are there, probably 8 now I can say that. It is absolutely dominated by maximum 40 to 50 companies in entire, you know, triangular way of looking into that. And we are putting the people at the base, which they're doing only some elementary work in a industry, which they go and look at it. It may be in a small product company or maybe in a small component manufacturing company, those kind of work. Say today somebody want to go and work in Intel. What could be the technical know of the students? What do Intel does and where they sit in electronics, maybe in a semiconductor domain. As an industry point of view, they design a chip, they also manufacture a chip in a simple way. And also they sell, they outsource some of the things to get it manufactured for the foundries as well. They play certain role there. And those companies are very few in a world. There is another set of a companies, there is a fabless, which they do everything, but they outsource the manufacturing to larger one, which is at the top of the pyramid. Probably I could have been put that triangular, which I looked into that. So that's the layer of that. To support that all these materials, machines and all the things, China or maybe a few companies in the world dominate, who are the machine manufacturers are the sourcing these materials. Then comes the bottom one, the Cadence Synopsys, which the tools, the design tools which layering it out, which enable that kind of a stuff. Probably I'll share with that the entire documentation which we have that when we done it at VLSI next. We understand the entire semiconductor, all this. And fascinating as well. When we're asking a question ourselves like, how do students fit in each of that? Because we have none of the things where we studied at the core. It is either at the surface level or maybe at the when there are project level they're going into that. So how do we expect them to fit into our industry? All of a sudden, last 4 or 5 years, this is what's happening. People coming to the campuses and asking, hey, we don't have any talent. Obviously, you don't have a talent because that is not blend into it. That is not blend into it. Now we need this transition or the transformations across our own way we look at it. What is the subject? Tomorrow we're having the topic, why semiconductor COE is required. Why we need UG and PG course in semiconductor. Because we need to get into the depth of what Cadence does, what Synopsys does, to the depth and specifically domain-wise. If we miss the domain again, we become very generic. Being a generic in this world today is of little value. I'm not telling no value. It has got very little value. We've got to get into the specifics of each of the domain where we need to create more values. And it is an interesting part for you. What are those values? It can be for your good publications. It can be for your good PhD work. It can be for your IP generation. And those things gets into commercial value, which we are interested in. So that's the little bit of that. Tomorrow probably I'll share more details about it. The reason is also this sector is getting wider and wider and larger and larger. Semiconductor as a chip manufacturer industry itself is around $700 billion businesses. On the product side, it's a $3 trillion revenue generation industry, which is no other industry has seen it. Probably equivalent to pharma companies. So which we need to be looking into that. Why we need this today, why this particular topic is required, why I was also pushing our HOD, sir, we need this topic, we need to discuss this, we need to have a visit a lot of industry to understand what's happening, why we are not doing that kind of stuff. In all this, where the steps come into the picture. We closely work with state government and central government to each of the ministry level. It may be DFC, it may be METI, it may be MSME, it may be agriculture, NITI Aayog kind of thing. So a lot of funds flow in through incubators channel. And DST is the only department where you can apply for research grants. Probably some of you might have already done it. In collaboration with other university partners in other countries, you can apply for research grants in specific areas. Last 3 years, we have seen nanotechnology, especially in material side of the semiconductor, a huge amount of the grants have been deployed. The reason also we know why they're choosing that specific areas as well. Can you go back and apply and ask for the management? Very tough. But if the government is asking, it's all about preparing towards that. Can you be good at preparing a proposals and applying it? That is the only little gap we can always fill into it. Because you're already having a knowledge base sitting there. The second thing comes in also collaborative projects across the If you have a research, and if you have a students working in, and if you have registered a startup, there is a lot of money under the table. Why I'm talking about the money? Because this is our shortcoming in every effort we do here. So who can receive the fund is the question. Or can we amplify that? Is it only the government fund? No, even private funds are also there. Why? Again, industry wanted that kind of a solution. Let me give an example with my own function, which I used to do in Rolls-Royce. 3 years I was supporting the university research projects. Every year I spent $20 million in terms of providing a research grants for 5 universities. It means that each of the professors will have at least a couple of millions to work on this activity, which is required for industry. Under them, there are 4-5 PhD students. They work with the professor, getting research done, and the solution is be deployed back in the industry, and they also been credited with that kind of a benefit, and the students also opportunity to work back in the industry. You say that's how we've been shaped into it. So can we do that back in India? All possibilities are there. Only thing is we're not talking the language which is required for industry. We need to show the talent, we need to show the caliber. At least you can go and talk, hey, we have this kind of things can we solve, or we can bring them back into the academic and enable that. So that is what particularly I do. I talking to the industry, engaging them. Forget about all other industry sitting now. Our own establishment in Mysore, we have at least 4-5 areas we can collaborate easily. One is the medical hospital, right? Some of you are already working in closely. We need to move to the next level. Medical devices itself is one of the areas which we need to look at. 80% of the medical equipments are imported to India. Simple. We're not talking about latest chip is required. No, we're not talking about that. You don't require 4G, 5G. 2G is good enough for those kinds of work. All is required is a good electronics background, embedded system, and basic VLSI is good enough for developing those kind of a product. We are happy to support those kind of a solutions coming in with not even registering a company. At least there are 4-5 different schemes which don't require to register any company. And it is not for just a research work, but developing a product from idea to POC, proof of concept or minimum viable product. Can you do that? Okay, if you're all busy, can you influence your students? Not at the final year. I also specifically know by the time students reach the final year, their ambitions, their aspirations are already molded in one way. It's very difficult to break that mold. I'm not telling everybody fits into that. At least 90% are in that mold. So job is the main aspirants, or maybe going to the higher studies is their first choice. This may be a second one. Say they started working in applied engineering side right from second year, maybe third year kind of a thing. Second year is probably reasonable time. By the time first year they finished their foundational courses, the second year is probably a good time to where they can pick up smaller problems. I'm not bombarding faculty telling that you need to innovate something which is not existing. No, that's not the idea as well. Can we replicate something already there in the market which is not available in India, which is not manufactured in India? That is what we are looking at. And those are the solutions easily can be tried and tested in our own facilities, which is available within the JSS itself, which is in either in medical college or maybe in hospital. At least we have 4-5 different those challenges we have funded, and we have deployed startup to work on that because they are there to spend good amount of time. So can we bring that structural change or maybe influencing factor? I'm not telling all 100 people in our batch will go getting excited to that. No, again, if there are 15-20 students, maybe because we always know that they respect the teachers in terms of their value addition to their life, their career. So it is always that is the foundational things, or maybe the good what do you call it, the battleground which can be created and they can bring on to the next level of things. From there, we are always there to support. We are absolutely okay if they fail. You're absolutely okay if they fail. It's not that every process is going to be successful. No. Out of the more than 200 startups invested under the Startup India Seed Fund, 60% have already gone to the letters. Government of India is okay with that. The reason is at least for 2-3 years, They started, they understand, nuances of the, market, businesses. They created a few employment and potentially they will not go back to the work until unless there is absolutely nothing is available. Most of them will restart in a better way. That is a risk they can only take first few years after the academic, not while doing in the academic itself. Between age of 20 to 25 is a prime age for anybody to look at taking that kind of a risk. If little money available is there and backing with the talent, backing with all your knowledge is what makes them to take the next steps. So you are the first influencing factor in all of our campuses. How many times I can go and talk to students, there is always a hesitation, there is always a resistance for them because we are not talking to them every day. So this fundamental structures we are expecting from every faculties and every teachers because they respect you, and even if you push them little one, forget about push, you never kick them, they're ready to take it because we see that out of 10, 15, even one succeed. Look at the cascading effect of the next year. If they've been honored with certain thing, if they've grown a company with the product, and if they're funded with a few investment coming in, but one success will actually transform the department, transform your subsequent batches which is coming up. We need to talk about that more actually. Out of all the three centers like STEP Bangalore, STEP Mysore, STEP Noida, we know the challenge. Each of them have a demographic challenges as well. Mysore got certain strength and weaknesses. Noida got certain strength and weaknesses. Bangalore got certain strength and weaknesses. We need to complement those kind of a strength and address the challenges. I'm not saying weaknesses. We need to always need to address those limitations which is there within the campuses or within the centers. Do we have all the magic sand to convert anybody into entrepreneur? I'm not claiming that as well. I'm not claiming that as well. It is a battleground again. We are experimenting with constraints around us and limitations putting ourselves into it. That is fair enough. You're not letting them go and do whatever they want to do, but we will have monitoring thing. We have mentors coming in, we have experts coming in, and we have our own management asking us what have we done it. So we have that responsibility on us to enable those things and make it possible as well. So those things is one of the requests from my end personally, because I'm looking from outside. The JSS is a massive organization. What we cannot do is only question. What we cannot do in JSS with a kind of a strength, with a kind of a network, with a kind of influence, we can have it and we can hold on to it within the system and outside the system as well. So what role STEP actually play? Like we closely work with the government and the industry and the investors as well. Why do people put the money and at least have an optimism requirement coming from US itself? I got this problem statement. Can your faculty and students solve this? Directly. Because we keep posting our own alumni coming back and asking, hey, we have this robotic problem, so certain things we know it, but certain things needs to put a time investment where they can take time to resolve those kind of things. At least half a dozen, almost every quarter I'll see it. When I want to go back to department, I need that confidence. As a STEP, we need a confidence coming back to in the campus telling that we are ready to take those little problems or the challenges. We'll back with that kind of a opportunities if it is you are ready or maybe your students are ready with that. Whether you like it or not, everybody does a project. You all agree. You are asked to now from the year one itself they need to do the project. If I'm not wrong with the new policies, every year they need to do every semester they need to do a project, and every semester they need to be interns. Humanly impossible for everybody to go and do the interns in organizations in large industries. Very difficult. Let's create the own platform for ourselves where they can problem statements are put across. They can pick up the project and that can be supported by some of you. Actually, I want some of you to be mentors even for them and also the startups. Where today you can actually start interacting. I'm not talking about the business side of it. Forget about the business side of any of these things. At least talk about the technology, product development, and improving those or maybe enabling that kind of stuff. Those are the mentors we want from the academic side. The reason is also tell, probably I visited all the IIT so far because of my own experiences to understand what different they do. Only 10% faculties are in this zone. Rest of the 90% of the faculty they got their research work or maybe activities going on. Only when those things fits in, they will jump in and do that. Otherwise, like some of them actively engage with students community, take up the research work, looking into the industry problem and work on that and developing a product as well. Some of them got a huge recognition and as well as the huge funding coming onto the table the moment you're talking about that. And also a question, some of you may ask, why a lot of scheme funds go to IITs only? It's not in a small number. It's in a few hundred crores. Research fund, why only it is IITs? And now the opportunities are opened up. We can also apply and take it, but we need to compete. So the earlier one is being now broken. Now we can also apply for every opportunity with a role into that. So what is that we can do as a team or taking the strength of each of the campuses and work in that direction? How many companies we can actually, forget about a company, how many problem statements we can solve for next 1 year? Some of you can take our one project, you can do it as well. Because that is your career development as well. And new policies also. Like you may have a question, can a faculty be an entrepreneur along with a student? Anybody have you have this question? Can a faculty be part of any of the registered company? There is a startup policy which is there in a JSSSTU, can also be translated into other two centers as well, or maybe other two campuses as well. Today is very much open. We have opened up that kind of options, but the primary responsibility is still your teaching and research, but you can be a part of the company and enable. That is already there in JSS which few companies and students, we only funded and supported that kind of initiative. That is the first thing. The second one, faculties can apply and then do that work? Of course, yes. If you're able to convert that idea or maybe your research thing into a commercially viable thing, you are ready to fund, and that does not require even a registration of a company. At least half a dozen we supported, couple of them in JSS couple of them in our Rudy Road College, JSS, and during that time, that if not, you cannot continue as a commercial thing, even students can continue that. So that you are adding a value there, being a part of the company, you subsequently registered it. So opportunities again there as well. Joint projects, collaborative projects from the industry. I want to put a simple portal. I can bring as many problem statements onto the portal if you're ready to pick up and work. Classic example is at least 80% of the IDES defense problems are related to electronics. If any of you have an opportunity to visit, I think today is the last day in Aero India show. When I saw that yesterday, because I'm seeing that from last 20 years, time and again, we see that few department dominates there. Is electronics stands out. When you go to the DRDO or maybe BrahMos center or maybe an HL thing, it's nothing but no other than what you see in electronics stuff. And they need more people as well. And they need a academia support and startup support as well. That's the one ministry putting at least 20,000 crores for startup ecosystem for last 5 years. The IDEX center which they have displayed is at least have 100 startups supported the defense projects. Where do they get? These ideas are already there in a portal. Anybody can go and look at it. If you have a capability, present your cases, prove your capability. They fund at least few crores, $500,000 to at least $1 million or maybe a couple of million in for idea to prototype development or maybe proof of concept development fund itself. That is the scale at which they are pushing in. You know why that as well. Why government of India is doing that as well. We cannot rely on any other country going forward. Semiconductor war is going to take place in few years, that is for sure. If China takes over Taiwan, and US will not let that happen because they want to dominate that space until unless we start, at least if not the complete fab, at least fabless can start it and we can move to that next phase of engagement. Fab thing started, whatever Tata and a few companies have started, expected chip coming out of that kind of facilities in 2017 or maybe 2027 or maybe 2030 kind of stuff, another 5 years down the line. So we need how many people? The reason why I'm telling this particular department is so interesting for me as well. Industry is getting transformed through this one particular technologies which are operating in, especially this one. Because so far everything, almost 80-90% are getting imported. And the moment we replace that homegrown chips or homegrown electronic components, we see all of a sudden we see at least 30-40 other next level of industry sectors will get transformed. It means that you have more companies coming up to that level and then started operating. So that is the advantages we see. There we need more engineers who think about how can I develop a product, how can I develop, what is the technology available, how can I make use of that. This is the opportunity time for everyone, including some of your research work. If you think that some of the areas can need that kind of opportunity, please take it up. And if you need international collaboration, Government of India has also mandated, you can also go look at international collaboration. It can be Israel or maybe United States as well, which are pointed in this kind of space. So tomorrow anyway we're discussing that. So this particular one, I need all your support. I'm requesting, the reason is time and again we see that we are missing an opportunity within a campus. And our funds have been getting used by other college faculties and students. At least in the last 5 years, STEP Mysore alone has funded 7 crores project fund. And not even a one startup from our campus. And including Noida, they also equally distributed maybe 4 to 5 crores of the fund and the startup India LED prize. So very hardly any few students, startups coming in. So we need to change this. So that is one of the opportunities which not having a fund is not an excuse. Maybe little not having awareness itself is the first thing. That's the reason. So thanks for letting me now speak about this. Probably I could have been not spoken about this kind of a thing. Mysore startup again, our center, we are looking to build another 2 to 3 lakh square feet of facilities exclusively focusing on electronics itself. The reason I'm time and again talking, this will rule the next 30 years in the industry. This will rule next 30 years of industry. If you have not been a part of that journey, again, we're missing a good value addition which can create for ourselves, within our students, for faculties, and for our own ecosystem in Mysore itself. So anything around that, please let us know. I'm trying to create an integrated approach to from different JSS institution itself. If somebody wanted to understand what's happening around that, because we are getting a lot of problem statement from that side. I started interacting with the doctors, maybe professionals from that side. They have a problem statement. How to solve that is a question. And we are limited with the bandwidth. We don't have all the people just pick it up anything and everything and work on. No, we can't do that as well. It is coming at some cost too. That's why I'm depending on faculties and students to join hands and take these advantages as well. It is just a little change in that shift of can we move them from product mindset to product mindset. It's just that little transformation where they can actually develop some prototype and also workable model. Even after 10, one is very good. At least the next successive batches will see that hey, it's a good opportunity for me to look from that angle. Actually, we are coming up with few workshops on the same thing which we discussed earlier. So how can we take an idea to product level of developing it? From idea to, I'm not even stopping at MVP to looking from complete the entire plan of idea to design engineering and then application, that is a product development. So we are bringing few workshops on that. If any of the faculties wanted to join, please join. Predominantly, I'm looking at students to pick it up and then work on. So it is a good opportunity where you can actually contribute and make quite a difference in Indian context of semiconductor battle for the world. And we are seeing that a lot of investments are coming in. It's not a small investment as well. When we are also talking about an investment for even a design company, you can understand that. Even they need to put a huge resources onto the table before they start any of these companies. But we are not talking about that. Let some of these companies do that, where they can leverage some of the benefits of that, and a few companies can be started, few products can be developed, few innovations. I'm talking about most of your IP things can be generated through this kind of work. So, in a simple step is enabler. facilitating this activity. We work closely with the industry and the startup ecosystem. Almost every day, my only role is like talk to the founders, talk to their challenges, either in the product development side, or maybe the market side, or maybe on the financial side, and also work with the investors, where they wanted to invest, kind of thing. So is there a good opportunity for them to look and pick up the startups to invest, and with the government to influence the policy making specific to the region as well. So far, we have reasonably done a good job in that. We were talking about the semiconductor facilities used to come to Mysore. Of course, we missed the bus because Keynes has gone to Gujarat. Otherwise, we have seen Keynes would have been done a lot more work. But secondary activity will come back to Mysore because Keynes have already started developing activities in Chamarajanagar. It is not too far from here. At least that will have huge impact on us because the sub-component level requirement of the product in electronics is also made possible in Mysore itself. The ancillaries is going to start. So that is another opportunity we are looking in. So that is the space. And more importantly, the deliberation. I mean to say, any students coming, I would love to hear and deliberate on that. Not necessarily every idea will go through the committee process and things like that. But if a good opportunity, if I start talking and listening to them first, and give them a valid reason, it is why and why not as well. Let them go back and prepare and come back. So that is the starting process where writing a proposal and submitting a presentation is the first starting point for them. So we need to bring that. It's just not only hackathons. So hackathons are only exciting thing, but much more things need to happen on routinely. Say somebody 10 students wanted to develop something. We got some requirements from Bangalore kind of a thing. I said, let's look at it, an idea point of that. If that is a work to which area they are addressing it. So those are the things we wanted at Andhra regularly. So those things can be supported because both Bangalore, not Bangalore, so Mysore and as well as the Noida, they got Nidhi Prayas now. There are something can be manufactured here itself. If not electronics, at least a prototype on that type can be manufactured. 10 lakhs of a grant without a startup, no need of a startup. MSME again 15 lakhs of a grant that can also be utilized. And coming to the Startup India Seed Fund, 20 lakhs is a grant and up to 50 lakhs of a seed fund. Karnataka government Elevate Fund, another 25 to 50 lakhs. And if you are the core in defense, money is like the next level. It is at in crores kind of a thing. That is also a grant, not even a seed fund kind of a stuff. If you need to apply for National Technology Board, it starts at 5 crores itself, starting point, the 5 crores level kind of a thing. That is very specific to the ministry they are working closely. And if some of the life science, bioscience kind of a thing, that also varies in different ranges between 5 lakh to almost 50 lakhs. Some of them go up to 2 crores. The important exciting is your department is required every aspect of any product tomorrow is developed. Whether it's a life science, bioscience, now we know why these particular instruments are required to be designed and maybe developed to read and recognize the nanoparticle level of changes, right? That is what the interesting part of it. So what is, if I need to make one probable changes, now we're talking about a semiconductor. That's the large industry. Domain knowledge is also one of the things we miss out. We understand the engineering, but until unless I know the domain, like when I'm talking about a medical, it's a domain, right? Medical equipment itself is a one domain under that. Under the medical equipment, there are critical care one and non-critical care one. So those are the things get divided into many levels kind of a thing. So maybe good option is, maybe I'm keep proposing management, every semester, at least 1 or 2 domains, knowledge should be, shared or maybe not taught to students along with the faculties. The more you understand the domains, you get closer to the real world solutions kind of a thing. The application where get closer and closer kind of a thing. Sometimes in maybe aerospace, maybe in automotive. Under aerospace, there are under domains, subdomains are there. You can roughly categorize those kind of things. So when I spoke to students, this is one of the challenge I saw it. When I give the problem statement, they take more time to understand where this is applied. Something which is being applied in a domestic appliances can also be looked at different levels. It means that we have opportunity there as well. I mean, cross-domain application. The solution which I identified for the medical can also be looked at agricultural sector as well. Something which is developed for space can also be looked at auto sector as well. So this domain knowledge is why critical is they started reflecting opportunities opens up and it multiples. It scales up in that direction. So this is one of the area which keep on maybe need to bring out to our practices. Whenever you get an opportunity, influence and recommending, bring this domain knowledge as well. The more we discuss on domain knowledge or maybe specific industry knowledge kind of a thing, or maybe practices kind of a thing, whatever I said earlier is all taken care. Those things will be taken care and students have better way of presenting the problem statement. So those are the few little things I end up sharing with you. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about what curriculum, maybe center of excellence, what needs to be done, why needs to be done, kind of stuff in the panel discussion. And any of you can reach out to us. Steps are there in all three locations. In addition to that, there are medical under the JSS we got at least 6 incubators. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. There are 6 incubators. In Mysore itself we got a 3. In Bangalore we got 2. One in Noida. So Bangalore, one in a college, another one in Chinsar, which is there in near Leela Palace. Roughly put together under our own incubators, JSS supported incubators, we have more than 200 plus startups now getting support from us. So say each, at least 2 students working with them, we have 400 students working for them. So I am allowing all the students to be an intern to exist in startups at STEM. So they will get an angle of what the startups challenges are there. Sometimes we go beyond an internship and tell that think about your work or maybe your ideas. We will also support them. So there is a deliberation happens, there is a discussion happens, and they can also work on their project as well. That's the little engagement for them. And the student level clubs also we need to start encouraging. I don't know how many clubs are there for electronics kind of stuff. We need to push that as well. At least they'll have more fun. So I know that once the students have more fun, they tend to take it to the next level and then do in a better way. Maybe we need to encourage that kind of a opportunities as well. So few colleges are changing their structural changes. Why this is needed kind of stuff. So we are sitting on seeing a golden opportunity for ourselves. So once again, I request all of your support in that direction. Whichever way you want to connect to us, please engage with us, or maybe connect back, write to us, maybe walk into the center, or maybe ask us to come to your center. We are ready to do that. Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Sushankar, for the conference delivery on connecting the students and academicians to the government and industry through the STEM. It's a great insight to all the faculty. I feel that it might have ignited some spark in your mind so that you can carry this knowledge and start doing some good things at your institute. So, thank you very much, sir. So it is our wish to honor you.
Sir,
with small.
better.
You have decided. Professor, please join. Sir, Kulkarni, sir. Please come. Anyway, you'll be talking to each other tomorrow. Tomorrow's Natarajan Krishna.
Yeah, sorry.
Natarajan Krishna.
Yeah, well spoken.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.